وأن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم وإن الله ربي وربكم فاعبدوه هذا صراط مستقيم.
Al-Wahdaniyah, oneness. The meaning of the oneness is that he is not a self that is composed of pieces. Self here means an individual. He is not a self that is composed of pieces. Thus, there is no self like his self, and no one other than him has an attribute like his attribute, or a doing like his doing, which is creating. No one can create other than Allah. It is not the oneness of the number. It is not the oneness of number that is meant by his oneness. It is not the oneness of number that is meant by God's oneness. Since one by number has a half and fractions as well, other fractions. Instead, the meaning is that he has no similar at all. No similar at all. He's one at the meaning that he's unique. He's one with the meaning of unique. You could say, I'm one man, but there's another man like me. So then I'm not unique in manhood. I'm not unique in manhood, nor am I unique in created existence. So therefore, it's clear for you then that oneness as an attribute of Allah also has the meaning of the other attribute, dissimilarity. Oneness and dissimilarity are synonyms for Allah. The proof for his oneness, yani the mental argument or the rational argument for his oneness, is that it is necessary that the maker of the world be alive, powerful, knowledgeable, willing, and choosing. It is necessary that the maker of the world would be alive, powerful, knowledgeable, willing, and choosing. Willing and choosing mean the same thing here. So, if the attribute of the maker is confirmed, as we have mentioned, if this is the case of God, what we have just said, then we say, had the world had two makers, it would be necessary for each of them to be alive, powerful, knowledgeable, willing, and choosing. Two choosers may validly differ in choice, because they're choosers. If you're a chooser, then you could, if you have two choosers, then it's valid by definition that they would differ because each of them is not forced to comply with the other in his choice, or else he wouldn't have a choice. Or else both of them would be forced. That means you don't have a choice. And the forced would not be God. So that's what you tell a Christian who believes in three and one. And the Hindu also. I had maybe 2 conversations with Hindus in my life. One of them was quite telling, because you know the case of the Hindus, that they worship many, many, many things. They are great pagans, mushrikun. So when someone worships so many different things, many, many idols and imaginary pictures and things like this, yani elephant-headed man with 6 arms, and his mother has 6 arms, but she doesn't have an elephant head, etc., then yani, how can you reason that? So when I talked to the guy, I told him, God is perfect. He can't be weak. And I was so curious, what's he going to say? So he said, why does God have to be perfect? So then it was clear for me that yani, he has submitted to the implications of his conviction. It's just like the old Greek religion too. Greek/Roman religion, where they believe in Zeus and all these many, many, many gods, they say. And then you find them, according to their stories, Yani, that these gods are fighting each other and defeating each other, squabbling amongst each other, punishing each other. So that's what it's going to lead to when you believe in more than one God. If this is valid, then if one of them wanted what is against the will of the other in something, concerning something, like for one of them to will a person's life, and the other willed his death, at the same time, of course, then it must be that either both of their wills are fulfilled, or neither of their wills is fulfilled, or one of their wills is fulfilled and the other's will is not fulfilled. Those are your only options. It is impossible that both their wills would be fulfilled because of their contradiction. Because if both of their wills would be fulfilled, then it means, as we mentioned before, then the world would be glitching. The world would be topsy-turvy place. So if there's more than one God, really, and then each one is independent and choosing, then that means that you could just be standing and then you'll be sitting and be standing and then you'll be on the roof somewhere and then you'll be upside down and then your house will become, I don't know what, a cloud, etc. Everything would just be crazy. It is impossible that both their wills would be fulfilled because of their contradiction. That is, if one of them willed a person's life and the other willed his death, it is impossible that this person would be alive and dead at the same time. If both of their wills are unfulfilled, they are both weak, and the weak would not be God. If the will of one of them were fulfilled and the will of the other were not, then surely the one whose will was unfulfilled is weak, and the weak would not be God, and would not be eternal, beginningless. This evidence, Yani, this argument, is known to the monotheists. It is called the proof of mutual exclusivity. Mutual exclusivity. That means canceling each other out. Each one cancels out the other. When someone says to you, these are not mutually exclusive about some issue, you're talking to someone, and then he disagrees with you and says, no, these two are not mutually exclusive. What does that mean? It means he's saying they can both be true. When someone says it's not, an issue is not mutually exclusive, these two are not mutually exclusive, what they're saying is, what's wrong with you? Both of these can be true. They're not canceling each other out. It has to be one or the other. So that's called in Arabic tamanwa. So whenever you have two things and one cancels the other, then that's tamanwa. So for example, if you're standing, then this will negate your sitting or your laying down. If you're sitting, that will negate your standing or your laying down. If you're laying down, that will negate your standing and your sitting. Those are all mutually exclusive. None of them can exist with the other. They cancel each other out. And this argument has more branches. So using the same reasoning, this canceling out of each other. This canceling out of each other, you say, if there's two gods, then can one of them keep something hidden from the other? If you say yes, then it means the one who could have something hidden from him is ignorant. Then he's not God, so there's only one God. And if you say no, then the one who's unable to hide something from the other is weak. So he's not God, so there's only one God. The Exalted said, لو كان فيهما آلهة إلا الله لفسدتا. Had there been for the heavens and earth gods other than Allah, they would have been in ruin. That's what I was talking about. That the world would then be glitching, meaning nothing would be stable, nothing would be sensible. Everything would just be crazy, clashing. That's why the existence of opposites proves the oneness of God. The existence of opposites proves the oneness of God. The fact that you can't stand up and sit down at the same time, the fact that you can't move and be still at the same time, that proves that there's only one God. Had there been more than one God, then it would be valid that you could move and be still at the same time. And it would be valid that you could stand up and sit down at the same time. And then all of the world around us would just be glitching and topsy-turvy. Al-qiyamu bin nafs, non-neediness of others. Yani, this expression here, non-neediness, I personally don't prefer it. But that's what some of our teachers have said now for decades. I asked about this saying, for example, non-neediness of others and saying non-resemblance to the creations. Why you say that when you have words that mean that? Non-neediness means independence, for example. See, there's a word there, we could use that. Non-resemblance means dissimilarity. Exactly. DIS means non. Resemblance means similarity. Non-resemblance, dissimilarity. Why make up a word and then use that instead of using words that exist? So the answer I got was, when they were first translating for serving English-speaking audience, they wanted to use words that they had absolutely no doubt that those words work. And so that's what justified for them to say such terms as non-neediness and non-resemblance. And then they got many students, and the students started to repeat those words as if they are normal words. So I personally don't prefer to say it this way, but that's what's there. And so that's fine. Al-qiyamu bin nafs, non-neediness of others, meaning independence. So the word al-qiyam means here existing. Qiyam means standing, or it means being, or it means, and even standing can mean being in English. Standing can mean being. If you stand on your own, if something stands on its own, an issue can stand. That means it is existing or it's confirmed. So qiyam means standing. It means here existing, or it means standing and it means existing. It has other meanings. And bin nafs means alone, by the self, existing by the self. From here, one might say self-subsistent. Self-subsistent, meaning existing independently. Know that the meaning of his non-neediness, his independence from the creation, is his independence from everything. So know that his non-neediness of the creations is his independence from everything that is other than himself. And that doesn't mean that he needs himself. He doesn't need anything. So he does not need someone to specify him with existence, because needing another negates his eternality. However, the necessity of his eternality and everlastingness has already been confirmed. So then he must be existing independently. Al-mukhalafatu lil-hawadith, dissimilarity to the creation. It is necessary for Allah the Exalted that he would be different from the events, the creations, the occurrences, the happenings, the things that start, meaning that he does not resemble anything of his creation. Therefore, he is not a substance that occupies a space, and he is not a quality. He is not a substance that occupies a space, so he doesn't have dimensions. He's not volume. He's not a volume. And he is not a quality, the quality of something that fills a space, like movement or color or smell. He's not any of that. The substance is what has containment, and it has an independent standing, such as bodies. So he is not a substance. God is not a substance. The substance is what has containment. Yani, it fills a space. Containment means it fills a space. And it has an independent standing. That means that its existence does not follow the existence of something else. So, for example, I have a phone to my right hand and a laptop to my left hand. So, this phone, it has an independent standing. This phone, it has an independent standing, meaning from the laptop, and this laptop has an independent standing from the phone. Neither of them, the existence of each one of them does not follow or depend on the existence of the other. So that's the meaning of having an independent standing as a creation. So is it valid to say that a creation is existing independently? Yes. Not with the meaning that it's independent from God creating it, no. With the meaning that it's independent from another creation, such as bodies. The quality is what does not have an independent standing. It only stands through other than itself, like motion, stillness, contact, disconnection, colors, flavors, and smells. So, motion, for example, does not have an independent standing because motion only exists through what's moving, a moving object. Motion only exists through a moving object and cannot exist independently. Now, so as you see, we're talking about that Allah doesn't resemble the creations. And in the process of doing that, we're talking about creations. Why would we do that? Because the way to know that he's not like a creation is to understand how are the creations. So if you know how are the creations, then you can negate that from God, since you know that God is not like the creations. And so the creations, we know how to categorize all creations, all of them. Because all of the creations are either things that have an independent standing or not. There's no third category. The things that have an independent standing, either they are single indivisible particles or not, yani, or they are multiple particles joined together, united together as one body. And these things that fill a space are either tangible or not tangible, like my table, my laptop, for example, my prayer carpet. That's all tangible. I can grab it in my hand. Or not tangible, like the light. Can't grab it in your hand. In the air, you can't grab it in your hand. Cannot capture it. And as for the qualities, there are, some said, yani, less than 50 qualities. All qualities, of all qualities. There's less than 50 of them. So we named some of them here. Motion, stillness, contact, that means being in touch with something. Disconnection, that means separation. Colors, flavors, smells, and there's still more like temperature, texture, and some others, Yani. Now it's not coming to my mind, but it's not lots and lots and lots and lots. So we are able to quantify all the creations. We don't have to know what every creation is. We're talking universally in type. We're able to quantify all the creations. And then once you do that, then what do? Then you say, Allah is not like any of this. He's not a single particle, nor is he a collection of particles that made a body. And he's not a tangible body, nor is he an intangible body. And he's not a quality. So he's not a movement or a stillness or a color or a smell, for example, etc. Then what do we say? We say he's not like anything. He has no type. He has no kind. Azza wa Jal. For that, Imam Abu Hanifa said in some of his works in Islamic theological discourse, Anna yushbihu al-khaliqu makhluqah. That's what he said. There it is. Anna yushbihu al-khaliqu makhluqah. It means, how would the creator resemble his creation? Anna means here, kaifa. It means more literally, aina, where. It's like he's saying, where would the creator resemble the creations? It means, how would the creator resemble the creations? Which means the creator does not resemble the creations. It means that it is not mentally or textually valid that the creator would resemble his creation. Abu Sulaiman al-Khattabi said, certainly, that which is obligatory upon us and every Muslim to know is that our Lord is not someone with an image or a shape. For certainly, the image dictates a manner of being, and that is negated from Allah and His attributes. Al-Bayhaqi narrated that from him in Al-Asma' wa Sifat. The word kayfiyah could be used to mean the reality. Just like what some said in a line of poetry, كيفية المرء ليس المرء يدركها فكيف كيفية الجبار في القدم. It means the how of man is not encompassed by man. So how about the kayfiyah, the reality of Al-Jabbar, who exists eternally? But like very literally, it's like saying, the how of man is not encompassed by man. So how about the how of Al-Jabbar? Or how about how Al-Jabbar is, who exists eternally? How would that be encompassed by man? What this speaker meant was the reality. And what we're saying here is we don't accept. We don't accept to use the word kayfiyah for Allah. The Shaykh says in other works of his that it is better not to use the word kayfiyah for Allah, intending the meaning of reality. Kayf, which means how, in its true sense, is only for giving created descriptions. So the word how doesn't apply to God. You don't say how is God because there's no answer for that. You say about the creation how, and then you're going to say big or small or yellow or green, or etc. What the speaker meant by using the word kayfiyah for Allah was the reality of Allah. He didn't mean how, he meant the reality. This line of poetry was mentioned by Az-Zarkashi, Ibn al-Jawzi, and others. Abu Ja'far al-Tahawi said, whoever describes Allah with an attribute of the humans has blasphemed. He is among the people of the 3rd century. So he is included in the hadith, خَيْرُ الْقُرُونِ قَرْنِي ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ ثُمَّ الَّذِينَ يَلُونَهُمْ. The best of centuries is my century, then those who come after them, then those who come after them. This is narrated by At-Tirmidhi. The qarn in the hadith means century. The best qarn means the best century. As said by Hafiz Abdul Qasim ibn Asakir in his book Tabyin Kadhibi al-Muftari, which he wrote in defending Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari, may Allah accept his deeds.